Okay. All right, guys, it's true crime time again. We hope that you've had a great week so far, and if not, we hope that this brings a little dark joy to you. I'm Ryan.
I'm Taylor.
And this is
Pure Malice.
Woohoo!
Woo!
All right, so tonight we are doing a deep dive into a case that sits at the weird intersection of internet myth, childhood friendship. What?
I totally heard internet meth again.
Internet myth.
Myth, not meth.
Internet myth. Myth.
Once you hear it, you can't unhear it. Sorry, guys.
Childhood friendship, untreated psychosis, and brutal real-life violence. And that case is the Slenderman stabbing. So we are going to go through the entire case. We trace how the obsession grew and where
vulnerabilities,
mental and social, gave the myth teeth, how the plan got put into motion, the events of that night in the woods, the medical and legal aftermath, psychiatric testimony, how both girls were handled by the justice system, and the most recent developments, including the plot twist of Morgan Geyser's conditional release. So get comfortable, because here we go.
If you like your true crime with a side of internet folklore and institutional failure, this one's for you, but also sad. Because it's not just about the true crime. It's a story about mental health, childhood, and how the virtual world can bleed into real life with terrifying force.
Mm-hmm.
Yup.
Yup.
There it is.
Whoop, there it is. Hey. 90s hip-hop. So let's start at the beginning. June 10th of 2009 was the first time that Slenderman made his appearance on the internet. Eric Knudsen, who used the username of Victor Surge on the website of Something Awful, posted 2 pictures.
Victor Surge, like that's a name.
Yeah.
I don't know. Video game names they get me every time.
Yeah, they can be pretty creative.
Victor Surge. Don't ask my husband what his is.
I actually will ask him. I'm curious.
Please do.
Okay, so one picture was of this tall, thin, black figure lurking in the background of the scenes of kids playing on a playground. Eric claimed that these pictures were found in the Sterling City Library blaze, and that they were taken the same day that 14 children went missing. He went on to say that the library burned to the ground just a week after the photos were taken, and that the police took the photos in for evidence. People on the site had a field day with these pictures. They were posting their own photos and playing around with their own ideas of the figure's appearance. Some said he had huge tentacles growing from his back, while others commented that they should be smaller because it's scarier that way. Some said that he shouldn't have a face and that he maybe should be wearing a suit.
Oh, I mean, at least they're being creative.
Right?
They had creativity with this online monster.
Yeah, they had a nice little creative process going.
Mm.
Which would have been fine had it been left at that. But instead, it turned into this true crime case involving very young children. So that one post on Something Awful turned into a huge thread of people from all over posting new ideas for his appearance. Like we just went over. I might have to turn that light a little bit. Ooh.
Suck it up, buttercup. Oh. I was going to say, suck it up, buttercup. You made me endure it last time.
I did. And it's
now you're whining.
Quite awful.
And you made fun of me for whining about it.
Well, I did, because I was like, oh my God, you're not really seeing stars. But she really was, guys. Whew. And people posting other pictures that were said to be from earlier periods throughout history, some dating back to the time before mankind was even on Earth, or people talking about their stories and experiences with this creature. Now, the truth behind all of this is that the creation of Slenderman started with an online Photoshop contest, which is why Eric posted the picture in the first place. Slenderman has every single thing it needs to be terrifying. No face, it's giant, it kills kids, all the things.
But, PSA, Slender Man is not real.
That's
It is
right.
not real, people. It's a imaginative figure that was created and started online. That's it. No truth to the story whatsoever, with the exception of
what we're talking about right now. Today, there are multiple movies and countless clips on YouTube about Slender Man, but the original series was made by 2 college kids, a guy named Troy Wagner and Joseph DeLage. DeLage?
y'all remember
Delegate?
we're not great with pronunciation.
We're terrible, but we try.
Grammar is not our strong suit, so don't judge us, okay?
Yeah.
Don't come at us hot for that.
Yeah, just don't hold me to that pronunciation. So, Troy was a film student who came across the Something Awful thread and took inspiration from it. He asked Joseph if he wanted to make a movie with him, and that's exactly what they did. The whole thing was shot with a video camera, so no high-tech equipment, and it gives Blair Witch Project vibes.
No thanks. I'll pass. Hard pass. Hard pass.
So the plot line is that this guy is working on a film project, but suddenly he just up and quits the project. So his friend goes back to try and figure out why he suddenly stopped and what exactly went down. So as he goes through the footage, he realizes that Slender Man was stalking his friend through the making of the project, and that's why he quit making it. So when they completed their film, they titled it Marble Hornets. No idea why. It's a super weird name, but hey, that's what they called it.
I feel like that's like a spin on like a superhero villain instead of Marvel.
Maybe, but I still hate it.
Yeah, I'm not a fan. Anyways,
Me neither.
but I'm not here to judge. So.
No, yeah, it wasn't our movie, whatever. They obviously did something right because once they posted it online, it ended up being a huge hit, just like the Blair Witch Project. And actually, Roger Ebert tweeted about it, which is kind of crazy. He didn't really say much about it. He was just like, hey, here's this movie. And just FYI, he was a movie critic, a screenwriter, and an author. So imagine that you made this movie just for fun, and someone like him goes and tweets it. It's a pretty big deal.
Yeah. See, I'm not super into horror movies. I feel like most critics already really dislike horror movies anyway, so it probably like was a really big deal for them.
Yeah.
I can see that.
Definitely was. So over the years, Slender Man made his way to all horror markets and became kind of a modern urban legend on the internet. There's been video games, online forums like creepypasta, wiki fandom, movies, all the things. And they all started from some random post on some website.
Yeah. I don't know. Faceless things. I'm good.
Yeah, it's pretty creepy. It really does add like an extra.
That's a little factor that yeah. I get using your imagination, but the whole faceless, I don't know. It kind of also gives me vibes of like urban legend stuff and like the Native American. I'm not going to say the name because like it's a big thing for people. I'll mouth it to you.
Oh, yes.
It's
100%.
like that's what it gives me a vibe. Yeah.
Now
like,
totally.
That's what it gives me the vibe of, and that like Native American, like,
oh yeah, that's
urban.
so true.
No thanks, I'm good. Like that kind of stuff. I don't know. People call me crazy.
Who? Or facially?
I don't know. You can call me crazy, but some people don't understand why me and my husband are so strict about things. So like, I don't allow my kids to watch the Demon Pop whatever it is on
K-pop Demon.
Yes, we don't watch that because my kids aren't allowed to watch anything that has the title demon or devil. I don't even watch scary movies that have the title devil in it. The whole 6-7 thing is a big thing right now. Like my kids are not allowed to say it, and they get in trouble, like big trouble.
Yeah,
and like I even got on to the other day about it because she's like, it's not a big deal. I'm like, no, it's a big deal.
like she was letting them say it.
Yeah, like she thought it was funny. Her and like they thought it was so funny, and I'm like, no, and it's not a big deal. I'm like, okay, watch this video.
Yeah,
tell me it's not a big deal.
and then I bet she was on board.
And then she was like, oh my god, and of course, Dad in the background. See, I told you. I'm like, oh my gosh.
Oh,
Yeah, he's always something to say after the fact. But I'm like,
Yeah.
there's a reason behind us not wanting them to watch certain things. There's just a lot of things that I have a choice to expose my children to.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know. Yeah, the faceless thing, like all that, I'm good.
I mean, I totally understand that.
Like this right here is like one of the major reasons I won't allow my kids to do like Roblox or Minecraft or any of that kind of stuff. Honestly, there's stuff out there that it is a predatory site.
Oh, absolutely. So many of them.
It's towards children. Like people are not monitoring these things. And if you are, great. I'm not saying don't let your kids or whatever. Like,
you
do you. But like for me and mine, that is the reason you can't play it without being on the web or using internet. I'm good. We're not going to do it. But like later on, you're going to realize why.
Yeah.
Call me mean one more time.
Well, this case is exactly why more parents should pay more attention to stuff like that.
I don't know. It's just crazy to me.
Yeah. So all of the articles that I read about what makes Slenderman so creepy kept saying it was the ambiguity. So he can basically be whatever takes over your mind. So he's basically everyone's worst nightmare. So most people who are into Slenderman are into it for the level of entertainment.
So for the entertainment purposes of it. Sorry, keep going.
But you have to think of all the kids out there who came across it too. If you remember with the Blair Witch Project, they marketed it as if the footage was real teenagers who really experienced that as they hiked through the woods.
Yeah.
And the same thing was done here with Slenderman on the internet. So it really was a terrifying thing for all of these kids who thought that it was real, which is exactly what this case is about.
Well, and kids, they have such creative imaginations.
And what makes this case so unique is that on top of a kid who already has a very overactive and creative imagination, there's more that goes into it.
There's also like a level of mental health and,
Absolutely.
Like all the different things. And you as an adolescent or a teenager, you're not cognitively there enough.
Right.
You're still developing. You can't turn it off. And you get to a point where you can't figure out what is fake and what's reality, unfortunately.
Yep.
So like for these two teenage girls in Wisconsin, Morgan Geyser and Anissa Weier, they were completely obsessed with Slenderman and believed that they had to prove this allegiance to him before they could go on and live in his mansion. And that just shows the level of immaturity almost.
Naiveness.
Like, yeah, that's a better word. The naiveness that the child is thinking.
Absolutely.
Anyways, so for them, they had to prove their allegiance before they could go live with him in his mansion in this national forest in Wisconsin, which, red flag.
Yeah.
Why are you trying to go live with some man in a mansion in the middle of a forest?
Exactly.
Anyways, so in order for them to prove their allegiance, they felt that they would have to kill in a sacrificial way.
Scary.
Mm-hmm. So Morgan Geyser and Peyton Leutner, they had been friends since 4th grade. How they became friends is really what gets to me, and I'm sure it will to you too, especially once you see how the case ends. So one day, Peyton saw Morgan eating lunch all by herself. She decided to do what all us mothers say, go eat lunch with somebody. Don't let them be alone. So what does she do? She goes and she sits next to her, she eats lunch with her, and then from there on, they pretty much were inseparable.
That is just so sweet.
Like, very sweet. Just a kind thing to do.
Yeah.
So they would have sleepovers, go rollerblading together, and they just bonded over their love of cats.
Hey.
It's Ryan's people.
It is my people. I love cats. Nothing will make me not like them.
I can think of a few reasons.
Ugh.
Anyways, so they would play dress up together, pretended like they were characters in Harry Potter. Oh, shout out there.
Hey.
Or Star Trek. Morgan really loved Star Trek. So it was just very like a wholesome and very innocent friendship, as you would think any friends at that age would be.
Mm-hmm.
They were friends from 4th grade to 6th grade, and it seems like they were just a little bit younger than everyone else.
Like the youngest in the grade.
Yeah. So I hate to say it, but they were kind of outcast.
Mm-hmm.
but they cling to each other.
And that's probably why.
Because of that, yeah. So in 6th grade, Morgan made a new friend while waiting for the bus.
That brings in a third girl. That's never good.
Three's a crowd.
Yeah.
So this new friend was Anissa Weier. And together, Anissa and Morgan became obsessed with Slenderman after seeing the creepypasta post online. And Anissa was the one who showed Morgan Slenderman.
Now, Peyton didn't really want anything to do with Slenderman. She thought it was terrifying and was basically like, you guys go ahead with it, but I'm good. So she was trying her best to support her best friend's new friendship. But as anyone who's been a young girl or has a daughter knows, 3 girls together is usually pretty tricky. It just doesn't turn out very good. So obviously the Slenderman obsession brought Morgan and Anissa closer, which is a scary thing to me. 2 middle schoolers sharing creative worlds. And while it's not the interest itself, it's when the world they share starts to erode reality that brings it into dangerous territory. So this had Peyton feeling a little bit left out, you know. And Morgan and Anissa seemed to almost prey on Peyton with it. They would send her links to creepypastas and be like, oh, Slenderman's going to get you in your sleep. Like, what little turds.
Yeah.
I understand it's just like kids being kids, but...
Well, I feel like if you were looking at the situation from the outside in, like, you would almost say, oh, it's just kids teasing kids. And like I said, 3's a crowd with little girls. A lot of times, like, you need that 4th person. Like, they got to have their little buddies, their little pairs. And so for me, looking back, like looking through this case, Morgan was definitely showing signs that her mental health needed attention.
Oh, absolutely she was.
I've said it before in other cases, but, you know, hindsight is 2020. She would have... So she would have outbursts in class. She would save insects and throw them at kids during class.
Gross.
Which, I mean,
she obviously was doing this to terrorize kids.
Yes.
You know?
And you say that, but it's like little kids do this stuff all the time. So, like, it is kind of normal, but it seems like she kind of took it a little too far. Yeah. And on one occasion, her mom was called to the school because she brought a hammer to the school and ended up being suspended for it.
Well, good. She needed to be. That's a big step up from throwing an insect at someone.
But looking at Anissa, she was a really good student. She had a history of sticking up for the underdogs. And while all 3 of the girls came off as a little immature for their grade, Anissa seemed to have a certain type of big sister energy. She just seemed more emotionally intelligent than the other 2. So by the time they got to 6th grade, Peyton was becoming more social and making more friends, which seemed to make the other 2 girls jealous.
That's the problem with 3.
So later on, Morgan went on to say that Anissa would call Peyton a all the time. So it seemed that Peyton and Morgan were just going in different directions. Morgan and Anissa, you know, they were more on the outside, while Peyton was going in a little more mainstream direction, maybe becoming a little more normal.
A little more independent just of those 2.
Yep. And so you need to keep that in mind because a lot is changing and a lot changed for these girls between the 4th grade and the 6th grade.
Oh, yeah. There's so much that changes. You start a new school around that age usually, and middle school is a tough time anyways.
Yes, it is. Plus, when there's 3 girls together, it's just hard. You know, normally you have 2 that share interests a little bit more than one of the other. And then, you know, somebody else gets along with someone else better. Like, it just, you always have that gravitation that you can't help.
Someone always feels left out. So
it's hard to maneuver that with the emotional intelligence of 6th grader. It's just harder.
Definitely. So in this case, they all 3 still wanted to be friends, and Morgan's birthday party was coming up. She turned 12 on May 16th, and 2 weeks later, on May 30th, she was going to have a birthday party / sleepover to celebrate with both Anissa and Peyton. So it was Friday night.
And I
just
got paid.
Woo! We actually did just get paid.
I didn't.
Okay, so
Friday night, and I just got paid. Ba, ba, ba.
getting money. All right, so it was a Friday night, and Peyton's mom recalled just how stoked she was to go to the sleepover.
Stoked? What are you, in the 90s still?
I still use stoked. What would you prefer me say?
I don't know.
She was super excited. Pumped. She was so pumped. Pump up the jam.
Pump it up
while your feet are bumping. We both don't know the words. Pump up the jam.
I wonder why it takes us so long.
I know.
Yo, pump up the jam, pump it up while your feet are stumping, and the jam is pumping. Look ahead, the crowd is jumping. Pump it up a little more, get the party going on the dance floor, because that's where the party's at, and you'll find out if you do that.
Again.
A place to stay. Get your booty on the floor tonight. Make my day.
Make my day.
Make my day. Make my day. Make my day. Make my day. Make my day. Make my day. Make my day.
Taylor's getting it.
Yo, pump up the jam, pump it up, yo, pump up the jam, pump it up, yo, pump it. God, that's a lot. It just keeps going.
Imagine if you're trying to give that concert.
I'd be dead. For our musically inclined
Our
talents.
non-musically inclined selves.
We're talented. I feel like people just watch us and they're like, man, they're idiots, but they're funny idiots.
I feel like people can relate.
By the way, while we're talking about this, I have an idea.
Okay.
For one of our Christmas episodes, we need to do a Christmas killer one, right? But I feel like we should dress up as our favorite characters.
I'm so down with any kind of dress up for it. Down. Obviously, you're going to be...
I don't know. I might be... I
was going to be...
I don't know if I can pull off the green.
That's fine. Okay, so it was a Friday night, and Peyton's mom recalled just how pumped she was for this sleepover. The three girls went roller skating for hours, and then they went back to Morgan's, where they just hung out until they went to sleep. Peyton remembered it being weird that Morgan didn't want to stay up all night, because usually whenever they had sleepovers, she always wanted to. But this time, which was her birthday party, she didn't, and it stood out to Peyton. Later, Anissa said that Peyton accidentally kicked her in the face while they were sleeping, and she said, "So I kicked her back on purpose." This right here, I did chalk up to just kids being little kids, but
I'm going to say kids are kids,
but at the same time, yeah. So the next morning, Anissa and Morgan woke up before Peyton did, and they went downstairs without her. And they were having donuts for breakfast. Do you remember that at sleepovers whenever you were younger? I was never the last one to wake up, but I feel like that's not a good feeling.
No, because I was also never the last one.
We'll have to ask Brittany about that.
No, I can't relate to this. I always woke up first, too.
Okay, so anyways, so they went downstairs and they were having donuts for breakfast. They hung out, they played dress up, they played with silly putty, and they were mixing it with granola and throwing it on the ceiling.
I mean, I do remember silly putty, and I feel like if we ever threw it on the ceiling, we would have been like Pop City.
Listen, I threw that on the ceiling all the time, but I wouldn't chunk it up where it would stick for years. I would do it just enough where it would just catch parts of it. That way it would fall back down.
Do you remember getting that in your hair? Like, you would have to cut it out.
I don't think I ever got that in my hair. But
yeah, because you were too busy throwing it up on the ceiling for it to drop down on somebody else's head.
Whenever. Until finally, they got the idea to ask Morgan's mom if they could go to the park together. And I do want to mention here that any other time Morgan's mom would say no, like, you're 12, you're not going to the park alone. But it was her birthday party, it was the middle of the day, and there were 3 of them, so she said, all right, that's fine, go ahead. But she told them to be back by a certain time. So they go to the park, and whenever they get there, they went to the bathroom and got into a very intense fight. Basically, all of a sudden, Anissa slammed Peyton's head into the concrete wall while Morgan held Peyton in place. Mm-hmm.
Speaking of premeditated.
Very.
Ugh. So, as quickly as this started happening, Morgan started freaking out. She was walking away, pacing and singing. So Anissa told Peyton to go outside so she could check on Morgan.
I can't. The nerve that you have to even go through with slamming someone into a cement wall, that's just...
Well, especially your so-called friend, right?
Yeah.
Like, oof. But Anissa said that the way she was able to calm Morgan down was by petting her like a cat. Don't get me wrong.
Meow.
Ryan's a total crazy cat lady. But, like, don't pet me.
Yeah, it's weird. Even
That's
for me,
just,
it's totally strange.
It's odd.
Yeah.
But I guess in that traumatic situation, like, that's what she went to. So it's not exactly clear why the three girls stayed together after the fight in the bathroom. But I would like to think it came down to Peyton staying because she, one, is 12. And two, she wants to belong. She wants to be part of the other two girls. One of them's been her best friend for the last 2 years. What other option does she have? It's not like a parent was there she could go to. Lack of supervision is probably another issue here. So, what is she going to do? Walk back home from the park alone and get in trouble?
Yeah.
So, even if she's confused about what the other two girls just did to her, she doesn't have the emotional intelligence at the age of 12 to be able to think they're trying to kill me or that she could potentially be putting herself in danger's way.
Yeah, your average 12-year-old's mind is not going to go there.
No. So she's just thinking, I'll stick it out, and then when we get back, I'll go home.
And that'll
be over. Yeah. So after the random argument was settled and Anissa calmed Morgan down, they decided to play hide and seek. So Peyton said that Anissa sent her into the woods, telling her to cover herself with leaves and hide.
Are you ready to lose weight and keep it off? At Vital Flow Aesthetics and Wellness, we offer powerful, medically supervised weight loss solutions using semaglutide and tirzepatide, the same game-changing medications making headlines across the country. Our expert team will guide you every step of the way so you can achieve real results safely and confidently. Feel better, look better, live better. Call Vital Flow Aesthetics and Wellness today at 254-310-7131 and start your transformation. Vital Flow, where wellness meets results.
So she remembered hearing Morgan count very quickly and then heard the two girls talk while they looked for her, but she couldn't hear exactly what they were saying. And then all of a sudden, Morgan was crouched over her, holding a steak knife. Right before she started stabbing Peyton, she said, quote, "Don't be afraid. I'm only a little kitty cat."
Ugh, that's like terrifying.
It's creepy.
Yeah, creepy.
No thanks.
Mm-mm.
I'm good.
Yeah.
You're going to a nursing home if you're a cat lady.
Listen, I already tried to get to say she would take care of me whenever I got old, and she was like, "No, Mom's going to take care of you because y'all going to be in the nursing home together." And Brittany was like, "You little turd." All right.
You would know what would be nice?
What? A Shirley Temple.
If I had a 7-Up Shirley Temple.
So we will get into this more later, but apparently Morgan had it in her head that whenever she went to live with Slenderman, she was going to be an evil kitty cat, and that's exactly what she was going to say to people before killing them.
What in the Hello Kitty is this? But
Okay.
for real, what in the Hello Kitty?
Yeah. So just sit with that for a second, guys. Like, how terrifying is that?
Ah! Okay, so I take the what in the Hello Kitty back, and what in the La Boo Boo is that?
It's so stupid. But yeah, okay. So seriously, how terrifying is that, you know? While Morgan was stabbing Peyton, Anissa was just standing there watching. What Peyton didn't know at the time is that the talking that she could hear but couldn't make out while they were looking for her was actually the two girls arguing about who would be the one to stab her. Anissa kept handing the knife that they had taken from Morgan's kitchen back to Morgan and telling her, "You need to take this and do it because I'm, quote, too squeamish." Right before Morgan said her kitty cat line and started stabbing Peyton, Anissa said to her, quote, "Kitty now, go ballistic." Yeah, I cannot fathom just how terrified Peyton must have been in these moments. So after stabbing Peyton 19 times.
19? Like, you couldn't just do it once or twice?
19 times in her arms, her legs, her chest, pretty much everywhere. Peyton tried to stand up, but obviously she wasn't able to see or walk very well.
Yeah, because she'd lost so much blood. Like, imagine the disorientation with that. I mean, like, I can't.
The shock, I mean, there's just so much.
I have been disoriented just based off of, like, lack of oxygen, and I was still able to function. And I've even had my blood levels, like, super, super low, like E. And that,
Yeah. So Anissa took her hand and told her to lie down because she would lose blood slower that way, and that her and Morgan were going to go and get help and would be back. Peyton luckily doesn't remember all of the attack, but she does remember that the girls said that they were going to get her help, and thinking to herself, they are not going to get me help.
This poor little 12-year-old, like, when she's been stabbed 19 times all over her body, and now she's crawling through the woods until she can get to a road. That just goes to show, like, how strong this little girl was. Like, the fact that she's such a fighter.
Yes.
Because had she not been a fighter, like, she would have laid there. Nobody would have gotten to her. But luckily, she is a fighter. She was able to crawl through the woods. She got to a road where she ran into a guy named Greg Steinberg. So he was out riding his bike. Greg sees this young girl with a blood-soaked shirt on, and he thankfully does the right thing and calls 911, who comes right away.
And guys, we saw her shirt that she was wearing whenever this took place, and it was completely covered in blood.
Well, and the fact that, like, she was coherent enough to tell the officers who arrived on scene the names and who did it and how they did it, like,
Yep.
She was able to say, Morgan Geyser is the one who stabbed me. With that, she was then rushed to the hospital and straight into emergency surgery. So now, the manhunt for Morgan Geyser and Anissa Weier on.
Mm-hmm. I can't comprehend still that this was done by 12-year-old girls.
Well, it was just so vicious in nature. Like, don't get me wrong. I've been a 12-year-old girl. I get little girls can be terrible. There's a reason bullying is such an issue. It's not easy being a little girl, but like 12-year-old and you're committing premeditated murder.
Well, that's my thing is the premeditation of it all. Yes.
Like the fact that y'all had a conversation, no, you stab her. No, you stab her. And it was a conscious, you stab her because I'm too squeamish and I won't be able to do it.
Exactly. Not like I don't want to, just I'm not able to.
I'm
I
not
might
able
throw
to.
up.
Your turn. Have fun.
Yes. Terrible.
Awful.
It really is. It's a hard thing to digest. And this part is too. Morgan and Anissa were found sitting in the grass near Interstate 94. They told the investigators that they cleaned up inside of a Walmart and their plans were to walk to Slenderman's mansion, which would have been a 4-hour walk. So they were obviously not only fully committed to the crime, but they were fully expecting Slenderman to now take them in once they made the 4-hour journey to his mansion.
And that's just crazy to me too. Like, where is this mansion? Like, what delusion?
Delusion.
You have this delusional thought of this mansion. Like, you gonna be the only killer there? Ain't no way. What if there's a dog that likes to kill kitty cats?
Yeah, seriously though.
It just goes to show you your brain is not fully functioning at that age. Like, you are still developing mentally, physically, all the things.
All the ways. So the entire attack in the Slenderman aspect was already bizarre, but things were about to get even more grim. It was very clear during Morgan's interviews with investigators that she had absolutely zero remorse for what she did. And I mean zero. Absolutely none. She told the investigators that they had no idea how hard it was to keep this plan a secret because there were, in fact, plans. There were 3 separate plans on how to kill Peyton that went into motion over the last 6 months.
So not only do you think about this one time, but you literally thought out 3 separate ways and then just decided, okay, today's the day, we're going to do it this way.
Mm-hmm. And that was just for this one day. There were several more plans that she had written down on notes. It's crazy. So Anissa and Morgan made up code words so that they could talk about the murder in public. They also wrote each other notes and emails discussing it. The first plan was to kill Peyton at the sleepover while she was sleeping, but the girls decided that they were too tired from skating at the skate rink all night, so they decided not to do it then.
You know, besides the fact that there was adults there that would have caught them.
Well, even though they had sophisticated plans throughout this whole thing, they are 12 years old, you know? So their second plan was to kill her in the bathroom at the park, which, if you recall, is where that random fight took place. Morgan had noted that the bathroom at the park had a drain in it for blood. That right there got me. I couldn't deal with that one. Anissa told investigators, quote, "From what I read on the computer, it's easier to kill people whenever they are either asleep or unconscious, and it's easier if you don't look them in the eye." They researched this.
Well, my thing is, like, where is the parental supervision here? Like, are you not looking at what your kid is Googling? I get a lot of 12-year-olds have access to the internet nowadays, and like they did back then. Like, it's a big thing, right? But like, come on.
You have to do better. Your kids.
Like, how?
Yeah, no, I'm right there with you. So that is why Anissa slammed Peyton's head into the concrete wall of the bathroom as Morgan held her. They were trying to knock her out so that they could do it there where the drain was, and so that they wouldn't have to look at her eyes while they did this. What it boiled down to, though, was that Anissa did not slam her hard enough into the wall to knock her out.
Well, and they probably didn't expect her to have a fight or flight instinct. And so that leads into plan number 3, which, as we know, let's play hide and seek in the woods and we will kill her there.
Morgan later said that the plan was flawless. She also said, quote, "People who trust you become very gullible. It's sort of sad."
Like the,
Wow. Just wow. Yeah. So while Morgan was being interrogated, she tried to act like she couldn't remember who did the stabbing and that it was Anissa who had come up with the whole plan.
Well, unfortunately for her, what she was not planning on is Anissa, who, by the way, was unbelievably calm during her interview, explained to the investigators all of the events that took place and the reasons behind them.
She sure did.
Basically, the whole story was that they had to earn Slenderman's trust. They thought that if they killed a friend, they would be able to go live with him without being harmed, without their families being harmed. So basically, if you don't earn his trust before you try to go live with him, he may harm you or your family. But if you kill someone and then you go to live with him, he will let you without harming you or your family. So for 12-year-olds, the fact that their plans, their research, like, it seems a little too much to me. It's highly sophisticated. Even the fact that they're able to make these statements, like they're talking about how gullible their friend was and how it was sad, you know, that really is a sophisticated thought that almost makes you forget how old they are.
Absolutely. So later we will see that there's so much more to it.
Yeah, definitely looking at the mental health aspect and mental illness going on here.
That's exactly right. So being 12 and obviously very naive comes into play, as we've talked about already. But 2 hours into her interview, Anissa asked where Peyton's body was, and the investigators told her that she lived and that she was at the hospital undergoing emergency surgery. Anissa's entire body perked up, and she said, "Oh, so will I be able to go back to school then?" Like, what they did was just going to be swept under the rug, and they wouldn't have any consequences because Peyton didn't actually die. So the kids at school became aware of what happened to Peyton, and they wanted to show their support for her by painting whiskers on their faces because Peyton loved cats, and she would often draw whiskers on the back of her hands. And even though it was a sweet thought, because prior to this, Peyton did love cats. Some of the adults knew the details of the attack and specifically about what Morgan said to Peyton before stabbing her, so the kids were not allowed to do this for her.
Well, thankfully, some adults stepped into that. I mean, it could have been viewed very innocently, but like the trauma factor there.
Absolutely.
Ugh.
So whenever Morgan's room was searched, they found over 50 pictures of Slenderman that she had drawn herself with captions that were written in all capital letters saying things like, "Always watches, no eyes, never alone, better dead." And some people may be saying, so what? What's the big deal? She was a creative kid with the creative outlet of drawing. But whenever you tie that into other things, like bringing a hammer to school, her statement about how gullible friends can be, all the red flags start adding up.
I'm sorry, there should be a red flag if you see your 12-year-old is putting the word dead. Like, it's not just a rap song you heard. Like, there's things behind this stuff. I don't know. And another thing to consider, too, is that we don't know what was maybe taking place at home. I do think environment can play a big factor in these things, but maybe, look at getting counseling for your kid. Look at some sort of treatment for her. If you're seeing these things, like she brought a hammer to school.
Something I want to say about this case, too, is that the parents of all of the kids that were involved seemed to grieve for each other. There wasn't really too much finger pointing. The parents all seemed to really just feel for each of the other parents. So they found the drawings of Slenderman, right, that were in Morgan's room at home, and they also found drawings in her locker at school. But at home, they also found mutilated dolls in her room. The dolls were missing heads, arms, legs, hands. Her computer showed hundreds of searches for, quote, "how to get away with murdering someone." And this one is actually sad. Another thing that she looked up was, "what kind of insane am I?"
That is sad. Like, she knew something was off, something was
Exactly.
going on. And the fact that she could pinpoint it, but like still didn't have the capacity to be able to be like, I need help, also goes into age.
Absolutely.
According to the New York Times, quote, "The police chief, Russell Jack, called the attack on the girl 12 a wake-up call for parents and urged them to closely monitor their children's use of the internet, which he said, quote, can be full of dark and wicked things." And he's not wrong.
No, but at this point, the internet had been around for a whole minute. You would think that parents were already doing this.
Well, you would have thought instant messaging would have taught you something.
Yeah, for sure.
Like, it's just crazy to me. But so the question now is whether or not to try the girls as adults or to try them in juvenile court. So if they were tried in juvenile court, they would not get much time, would end up doing a lot of community service. And, even if they got the full sentencing of that, you're done at 18. For a premeditated murder, like, I wholeheartedly feel like they consciously were able to think this out. I don't know. I have trouble with this one because I don't think what they did 6 years is enough to figure it out. I just feel like there should be more.
I agree with you.
The judge felt as though they posed a serious threat to society and that there was enough evidence to point to first-degree intentional homicide.
Mm-hmm.
And according to the Milwaukee Journal, quote, "In Wisconsin, if a child is charged with that offense as young as 10, the case must start in adult court." So As we've already said over and over again, this case has so much premeditation that really had to be considered very carefully when looking at this case. At one point of Morgan's interview, they asked her what she felt when she was stabbing her best friend, and her response was, "It just felt like air. It was just stab, stab, stabby, stab." And she was motioning like she was stabbing as she said it.
Like, that just speaks volumes, just nothing. It was just air. No feeling.
Like, no care in the world about it.
Mm-hmm. So Morgan's parents were not as mainstream as others. Some of the media had a field day about several things whenever it came to her parents. And one of those things was a birthday card that her father sent her mother. And they tore it apart because it had skulls on it. So her parents seemed to appreciate the drawings and creativity that Morgan exhibited. And her father even posted one of the drawings that she did saying, "Only Mogo would draw Slenderman at dinner." So they were supportive of her unique interest and her creative outlets. And I think that was them trying to show up as supportive parents, which is awesome. We love that. But at the same time, I also think that something like that, you really have to keep an eye on it. So the decision was made to try both girls as adults, and Morgan was diagnosed with early onset schizophrenia during her trial. Many sources pointed out that this is a very unlikely diagnosis for such a young girl, but as it turns out, her father had also been hospitalized in his teens for the exact same reason and was later diagnosed with schizophrenia. So until this happened with Morgan, it seemed that her parents didn't know that she was experiencing symptoms. Morgan ended up taking a plea deal so that her insanity defense would not be challenged, and she pled guilty to attempted first-degree intentional homicide. She received 40 years in a state mental institution. Anissa also took a plea deal where she pled guilty to attempted second-degree intentional homicide, and she was found not guilty by way of a mental disease or defect, and she was sentenced to 25 years in a state mental institution. And Taylor, I want your thoughts on this. So I know that a lot of people thought that they should have been put in a prison. And I mean, the whole point of prison is obviously to reform, right? But I feel like the girls needed help and that the state mental institution was the right place for these two girls, given that one, they were 12, but two, a facility like that, they could get treatment and counseling that they needed to get them to a manageable place and learn how to live with their diagnosis. So I don't think that would have happened in prison.
Yeah, I mean, I agree to an extent. I don't necessarily think that 25 years in a state mental institution, like, I think that that's definitely where she should have started. But I think that eventually they should transition to actual prison and serve the time, because once you have somebody typically medically managed and you continue to maintain that, there's other programs within the prison system that, they're not necessarily set up for getting someone managed, but they are set up to try and support in that management. And I say that all to say, I don't really know what resources they have in Wisconsin.
Yeah.
It can't be any, no offense to anybody, but it can't be any worse than what we have here in Texas. And so even though it's not necessarily the best case scenario to put her at a state mental institution full time, like, I can see doing it for a little while, just because I feel like there's other things that you kind of get more cushiony in a state mental institution versus hard time in a prison.
Yeah, I get what you're saying.
And I feel like sometimes, like, if you have a mental condition and you were in that environment for so long, like, that can also have very harmful repercussions. So, like, if the whole purpose is to rehab to go back to society because of the age, like, if that's one of the reasons you're doing that and you're allowing them just to have the 25 years, like, your goal should be to rehab and to medically manage so that they can get back into the community and be some sort of functioning, contributive,
Adults.
person in society.
Yeah.
So
Lisa Miller, who wrote the article Slenderman is Watching for New York Mag, went on to say that Anissa was a model prisoner who follows all of the rules. She has good days and bad days. She's done the 7th grade history curriculum twice, so she was pretty smart. But she has breakdowns from time to time and has been put in a straitjacket, and she's also been put on suicide watch. So she obviously was still struggling to balance her mental illness. She went on to say that Morgan has been able to get a lot of the psychiatric help that she needed. She was also diagnosed with oppositional defiant disorder, and her doctor testified in court that she had been suffering from hallucinations since she was 3 years old. She would see vivid pictures on walls and have imaginary friends.
See, I feel like that would be really hard.
I wanted to ask you about this too.
Granted, I don't have a PhD or anything, but you just feel like that's, I won't say like a full stretch, but like to me, it's stretching it just knowing what I know, like DSM-5 and diagnosis. I just feel like to say that she was already suffering from hallucinations at 3 years old, typically they're not able to like vividly recall their own memories from that age anyways.
So that's the thought I had.
So like, I don't know if I necessarily agree with this given family history, the schizophrenia, even diagnosing her, because most children that age don't get that diagnosis till like later teenage years and like lower 20s. The oppositional defiant disorder is like spot on for me.
Tell me what this is.
Oppositional defiant disorder. That's like your anger outbursts, like your inability to control or gauge those emotions. Very vindictive, like defiant by nature, argumentative, but more than just your traditional, no, mom, I don't want to clean my room. Like this is like you are vengeful.
Yeah, I didn't know what it was.
Yep.
I just felt like any parent could look back at their kids having imaginary friends and be like, oh, that's a cute, normal, childlike thing.
Man, I still remember Tracy.
I was totally going to bring Tracy up.
She looked like me with brown hair, and I was blonde as a kid.
And that was something that I feel like our entire family, like, we supported you in that. We were all about it.
Yeah, y'all also made fun of me, too.
No, we didn't. Maybe later in life, but at the time, we were all about it. We even had a couple of Brittany's friends call you on the phone and pretend to be Tracy, and you talked to them, and you were super, super excited about it. Like, it was something that we all thought was cute, you know?
I'm pretty sure we had a seat in the car for Tracy.
We did, and at the table as well.
Yeah, she was my best friend. What do you expect?
Yeah.
She looked just like me, y'all.
It was just a cute thing, you know, but
I was not in any way, like, hallucinating.
No. You weren't. Let's make that clear. She was not.
I feel like that's semi-normal because we've already determined I'm the most normal out of our family.
Ugh.
Anyways,
yeah. So I just felt like that part was normal. And even with saying that she saw faces on the walls and stuff, I feel like that can also be chalked up to a child's imagination. But
well, it can be chalked up to like a bad dream.
Yeah, there's lots of things that you could probably
night
put
terrors,
that on.
All these things.
Mm-hmm. But later on, you know, now that we know that her father was diagnosed at an earlier age with schizophrenia and was hospitalized, knowing that, I feel like why were they not paying maybe a little bit more attention to some of those things that can come with that?
Yeah, I agree with that.
And I'm not trying to blame a parent. I'm not. I mean, obviously parenting is hard, but it was just something that I would feel like you would look out for.
Before we get into any more, this is where we're going to leave you. So next episode.
Up next.
Yeah, I like that one better.
We will go through the appeals of the case and get into what just went on this past weekend, which is the early release of Morgan Geyser and her trying to run off. So that's it for tonight, y'all.
Thanks for listening.
I'm Ryan.
And I'm Taylor.
And remember,
it's not just crime.
It's
pure malice.
That's it. That made me think of the farm.
Made me think of